Hey friends, instead of making a show or a short, I decided to just go live and talk about it while I do it. Do something different. So the show that I was preparing for y'all is about Dr. Renee Regreisen, and I've come to a place in it where I just want to talk about some stuff. In particular, the in-home delivered microbiome, and what I'm discovering is just absolutely blowing my mind. You will have a machine in your home soon. Give it a year where you'll be able to program matter and inject it into yourself. They're going to cure cancer, they're going to cure diabetes, they're going to cure all of these diseases. And what I'm finding out is that absolutely none of it is organic. It's all going to modify the situation you find yourself in life. And that situation is highly profitable. And I'm going to read an article from the show I'm putting together for y'all. And the article is from Fierce Biotech from March of 2023. Author Max Bayer. ARPA-H is open for business to provide lifeline for a struggling biotech industry. It's in the pits. Like the stock prices, everything not looking good, and keeps bottoming out across the industry. So, as part of the pipeline restructuring, this is all by design in order to streamline the market for pipeline money delivery for successful technologies, i.e., Biden's cancer moonshot, which was inaugurated on September 13th of 2022. That was the beginning of Mrs. Regreisen's tenure for the delivery of all this money. So let's read from this article. Almost a year ago to the day, the Advanced Research Agency for Health, ARPA-H, launched with sky-high ambitions to tackle cancer and other diseases. Mentioned often in the same breath as President Biden's Cancer Moonshot Initiative, ARPA-H was established with the goal of being a less cumbersome bridge between the public and private sector. Government managing a bridge between the public and private sector. Sounds awfully nationalistic and socialistic to me. Now it's time for the rubber to hit the road. Top leadership is in place. The first program managers have been hired, and the agency is looking to stake down locations for 3 hubs across the country. Equipped with $2.5 billion, inaugural director Renee Regreisen, PhD, says ARPA is ready to go. Funding new research in healthcare and biotech may span from proof to concept studies to long-term projects. The time is right for an ARPA, Regreisen said in an interview with Fierce Biotech. ARPA is meant to move at the pace of innovation. If that sounds like industry speak, that's because it is. Regreisen was named to lead the agency in late 2022 after a stint as vice president of business development at Ginkgo Bioworks, a cell programming biotech that also worked with the U.S. during the height of the COVID pandemic to expand testing for travelers. But Regreisen cut her teeth working for ARPA's namesake, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. First as a consultant and then as a project manager. The ARPA model was first established in 1958 by the Defense Department when it launched DARPA, a counterpunch of sorts after the Russians launched their Sputnik satellite into space. The agency was tasked with advancing new science and technology that would bolster U.S. national security. The model was replicated in 2007 by the Energy Department when Congress authorized ARPA-E for energy and increased federal investment in new energy technology. 200 companies that received investment from ARPA-E went on to receive a total of $11 billion in follow-up private funding. More than 24 companies accumulated nearly $22 billion in market value through exits. At the core of the ARPA model are program managers who act like point guards leading the investment offensive. Renee Vergreisen said program managers apply for jobs at ARPA-H were asked to describe a health challenge that they want to address. The difficult irony is that as ARPA-H launches to capitalize on innovation at biotech and life science companies, those respective industries are undergoing a reset. Verizon says that may actually make ARPA more appealing to those who wouldn't have previously considered seeking funding from the government. I would suspect, as with the volatility again in the marketplace, that private investors can take less and less risk. She said, and that ARPA-H's sweet spot is a critical distinction as the new agency tries to separate itself from existing ones like National Institute of Health. We want to we want to fund the risks that the private sector and the rest of the federal government are not willing to take on, she said. It's an environment that's grown even more unstable in recent days after Silicon Valley Bank crumbled. Biotechs continue to lay off workers and shop excess pipeline assets to fund basic operations. The pipeline is something that we talk about on the show all the time. And Ms. Greisen is talking about how the pipeline is managed basically from cradle to grave by the government. It's a marriage of state and industry. The grand opening is right around the corner. The agency just announced its first 2 program managers and mission directors with prior experience ranging from DARPA to White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, where Greisen says the objective of the project managers is to think like a CEO, but to be able to take risks in the process. The agency hopes to hire as many as 20 of them in 2023. The hiring spree comes as ARPA-H has put out its first call for funding requests, large and small. Greisen wouldn't commit to prescribing a dollar amount for this initial opportunity, but the agency has the ability to spend $1.5 billion before October 1st, the start of the new fiscal year. But that's contingent on the ability to hire staff and facilitate more funding requests. What the agency will ultimately fund remains up in the air, with much of the discretion delegated to program managers. Verizon affirmed that the agency is not looking to only make bets where there's evidence saying that ARPA-H will try to do risk-promising science that's yet to acquire significant data. Maybe there isn't a financial incentive for this program. That's okay, she said. We can still explore this and even be market shaping as we move forward. Market shaping. Market shaping. All right. Guiding market is what they're talking about. This is when the government marries private industry and shapes market, there is no competition. The agency is also not solely focused on tackling Biden's moonshot initiative, which looks to cut cancer death rates by 50% over the next 25 years, though it is a point of emphasis. Greisen says she's constantly working with the White House OSTP and moonshot coordinator Daniel Carnival, with ARPA establishing a moonshot champion who can find common threads between cancer-fighting proposals. Ultimately, ARPA is not immune to the funding constraints that plague most government agencies, particularly in a divided Congress that's so far been at a stalemate over future funding. ARPA-H was granted $2.5 billion in initial investment, far lower than the president's original $6.5 billion request. During last year's funding negotiations, Verizon feels that she can continue to carve out bipartisan support by appealing to people's common experience of tending to family and friends dealing with devastating diseases. There's what we can hope for and what we can have. Those are often two different things, she said. We want to be on a growth trajectory that we can confidently ask for those budgets moving forward. So if you we did some coverage on the Senate subcommittee on the origins of COVID-19, and Dr. Redfield, among other things, said that in-home delivery of recombinant technology is the goal because it tackles several problems that are really at the forefront of recombinant technology and digital RNA. One is public hesitancy. Now, in order to carve out the budget to shape the market, they are going to appeal to your loved ones, your deceased relatives, your fear, your pain, and you're gonna, hopefully not you, because if you're watching this, I can guarantee that that's really something, and I appreciate that. But they're going to use fear to generate this income, okay? And that's what I'm discovering in this is that when I look at all of the other boards that Ms. Verizon is a part of and determine, kind of the theme of what's going on here, I very quickly, and in the show that'll be coming soon on this content here, I show exactly how they're propagandizing probiotics to, get you ready, get you accepting of the technology, how they're glamorizing it with media, celebrity, and news, how they're encouraging Congress to unlock the funds to replace old technology with new technology, digital RNA versus old phage knockout technology, and also a timeline of Ms. Verizon's papers that she's written and curated to show that she's the leading expert to guide the birth of artificial intelligence in your home through probiotics, through a recombinant microbiome. So if that sounds great, stay tuned, you'll love it. If that sounds terrifying, stay tuned, you'll love it, because we have options for you to produce similar therapeutic molecules at home using organic precision fermentation. Yeah, Miss Mildred knows what's up. No thanks to that. The organic precision fermentation that you can do at home is equal to their technologies. This is something we've proven in the research that we've presented in the shows consistently. We wrote our first article recently about triclosan, and it being a chemical that mimics MECFS, which is chronic fatigue syndrome, and how in knockout mice, triclosan can be used to create chronic fatigue syndrome very easily. You just give them the triclosan and the chronic fatigue syndrome. But it turns out that triclosan was banned by the FDA. So that's what the article is about, how chemical exposure can look just like chronic disease. And that's what we're discovering here in the preparation for the presentation of this show, is that what you're calling disease is a highly managed and engineered microenvironment for the digital mRNA to host upon. These prebiotics that we've described in the shows over and over and over again, that you can go back and watch, please. It's all evidence-based, no opinion, all peer-reviewed. Unlike this live stream, which is just me talking about things. I just figured it would be a good change and a change of pace, because y'all don't get to see my face, so you probably think I'm just some guy behind a screen hiding. But it's not true. I have thousands of customers. We deal with people on a daily basis. It's just how I prefer to present the information, because I don't really think it's about me. I think it's about you. You're the most important part of this research. Your health is the most important part of this research. Your success, your freedom, your gut microbiome, your choice. Your body, your choice. Your gut, your choice. Your microbiome, your choice. Because if you don't have control of your microbiome, you are a hormonal disaster. You think you're thinking thoughts? No, you're just recombinant genetics. It's just recombinant genetics bouncing around inside of that head of yours, giving you funny ideas, making you feel things so that you'll be shaped by the system. There's a bunch of different ways that we got to this place, and but in the end, what we use is primary peer-reviewed research. If you watch the shows, that's all there is. So in any case, that's what's coming up here soon, and we'll probably have it ready for you by this weekend. It's a good show. It's about Dr. Renee Wegreisen and her inaugural leadership of ARPA-H, which is the genetic engineering wing of DARPA, and it's the hand-in-glove relationship between private sector and the government. So also we're going to show how you're being propagandized to accept probiotics, which is the genetic engineering technology, all peer-reviewed scientific research, how they're putting barcodes into you, how they're using this in Cas19 modeling in order to create a cloud of information to pull out a natural baseline for humanity. It's called post-racialism. We have a show about this. Are probiotics racist? Well, it's an interesting conclusion. It's not what I would have suspected when I did the research. It was very illuminating, and it shows you what the hand in the glove, who's in charge. That blew my mind when I did that research. Because I went into it thinking it was just a bunch of NAZYs. Nope, that's not what's going on at all. It's actually a much more organized consortium than that. And what we're seeing here with the advent of ARPA-H is the true coming out party, so to speak. That's what's going on here. And if you thought what the WEF was saying was bad, this is the actual implementation across the entire Western globo system. All industries are on board with this and have signed on. So that's something to contend with as a Westerner, if you're on board with this or if you're not on board with it. See, if you're not on board with it, it's actually illegal to protest it, and you should really consider your options, friend, because the only true option is to create an economy of scale that can then be introduced, that can then be taxed, that then doesn't oppose the system, but then participates. See, this is how we truly get our farm bill. This is how we get Organic 2.0 without creating friction, because the option I just described is wholly open. If you want to resist, well, you can't because of the emergency use authorization. It would be illegal to protest this because you're actually creating domestic disturbance. See, like your participation is mandatory. You have to be involved in this. So there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. It's all going to be delivered on a single spore, adjuvant resistant, recombinant delivery tech. Yep. Think BTK, friends. If you're gardeners and you spray that on your tomatoes to kill the tobacco hornworms, that's the technology that this is. To your door, delivered, recombinant, on your cell phone. They'll send you the juice, and just like you can wirelessly charge your phone, you'll put the juice on your phone or your Fitbit. Now you're biometrically aware. It'll put out a special light beam, and now it's programmed for you. Just for you. About a year away from this. None of that's organic. But all that can be done in your home the hard way by making your own organic precision fermentation. And again, in the research that we present y'all, that's what the show is about, is proving that this technology, this precision fermentation, digital RNA, it doesn't actually offer benefits in the sense that it's better or that it's cutting edge, and that's patentable, but it doesn't actually cure disease. That's the amazing part of it, and that's what's in the research too. So again, I think I'm rambling on now, and no questions, no comments. Moving on. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.